Tennessee State Senator Stacey Campfield does this thing called the Thought of the Day on his blog daily. And as you're about to see, it's an incredibly ironic name to call it a thought, because he said, quote, Democrats bragging about the number of mandatory signups for Obamacare is like Germans bragging about the number of mandatory signups for train rides for Jews in the 40s. Ugh. I have a message for everybody on the right. If you want to make a Nazi comparison, don't. Because it's never accurate. Like, maybe I've heard one or two Nazi analogies in politics in my life that were somewhat accurate, but the overwhelming majority of the time you try to bring up the Nazis, you're just exposing yourself as a dramatic queen little prick punk-ass bitch. That you take whatever your pet issue is that you're obsessed with, regardless of the facts. You're like, oh yeah? You disagree with me? You're a Nazi. You know who does that? Toddlers do that. Children do that. But it's clear that these guys, they don't know anything about the actual specifics of the law. They don't know anything about the implication of it or what's happening right now with it and the fact that it's true that more people are covered, which is a good thing. They act like they're like embracing their ignorance and shoving it in your face. But go ahead, man. Keep comparing Obamacare to Nazis. You're only hurting yourself. And in fact, the Tennessee Democratic Party chairman, Roy Herron, pounced on this. He said, quote, Senator Campfield's blog post this morning is just the latest example of Tea Party Republican extremism. To compare attempts to save American lives through access to health care with Nazis killing European Jews is outrageous, pathetic, and hateful. Senator Campfield and other Tea Party Republicans ought to look at the 5,000 Tennesseans who will die within the next 3 years because Tea Party Republicans refuse to take the 100% federal funding to expand Medicaid and have denied working Tennesseans access to health care. Damn, now that's how you respond, son. For the longest time, this show was the only show that would bring up, like, wait. Let me explain to you where the real death panels are. The fucking health insurance companies are the real death panels. Did you know that 45,000 people died every year because they don't have access to basic health care in America before the implementation of Obamacare? Now, again, Obamacare is not perfect, but anything is better than what we had before. You know how many people die in Canada every year because they don't have access to basic care? 0. Norway, 0. Denmark, 0. Iceland, 0. Sweden, 0. Britain, 0. France, 0. You get the picture? Australia, 0. It goes on and on. Every modern industrial nation, 0 deaths because they don't have access to basic care. In the U.S., it was 45,000. Those are the death panels. The death panels are when the insurance companies denied claims because they did this practice called rescission. You know what that means? They had whole departments for rescission. That means that they have departments of people that look back through your contract and through your history to try to find little things to then deny you a payout on your claim. And the typical example that was used, because it was such an egregious example, is that there was a woman who had cancer, and the health insurance company looked through her previous records and said, oh, look at that, you had acne. We're not going to pay for your chemotherapy and radiation treatment. She's like, what are you talking about? It's fucking acne. They go, that's right. You say it's acne. We say it's cancerous skin lesions. Therefore, you had a pre-existing condition and didn't tell us. You're on your own. And she sued, but of course, going through the process of suing takes a long time, and she doesn't get the radiation that she needs immediately, and you know what the consequences are. You know, those are the real death panels. The health insurance companies are the real death panels. They have to make a decision every time there's a claim. Can we find a way out of this? Can we weasel our way out of paying for this? Because the more we don't pay out on claims, the more money that we make, which pads the bottom line, gives us more profit, and we can pay out for our shareholders more. That's just the nature of the system, the way it functions. There's a perverse incentive when you have your health care in a for-profit industry. Okay, that's the death panel. The death panel is also what they're pointing out. There was a Harvard study. 17,000 people die every year now because all the Republican states that refuse to expand Medicaid. When you don't expand Medicaid, you put your middle finger up to all these hardworking Americans that don't make enough money to actually get into the system. And now there's no coverage, and now they die if something goes wrong because they don't want to pay out of their pocket to go to the doctors when they don't have the money. You know, those are the real death panels. It's the right-wing ideas that lead to the real death panels, and finally somebody's pointing that out. But even the Republicans attack this guy because he's such a fucking idiot. GOP Chairman Chris Devaney wrote that, quote, while Stacey Campfield routinely makes remarks that are over the top, today's comments are ignorant and repugnant. No political or policy disagreement should ever be compared to the suffering endured by an entire generation of people. Those comments have no place in our public discourse. He should offer an apology to members of the Jewish faith immediately. So when you lose even your own party, man, because the Republicans usually double down on their bullshit and on their nonsense, you know, but when you're losing your own party, and by the way, this is showing you that eventually we knew that reality was going to butt up with all those stupid right-wing talking points, where eventually they would go, oh, fuck. The American people are finally using Obamacare now. People are signing up. People are seeing the reduction in their premiums. People are getting the same, if not better, health care. Now people are realizing it's a good thing. So what's the result? We can't keep using our bullshit talking points because we're going to get our clocks cleaned. That's exactly right, man. If I was the Democrats, I would absolutely pound away on this and do it until you drive home the point that you did something good, the other guys did something bad, and you should be elected in 2014.